Hi there, welcome to Nepi Invest. I'm going to do a bit of an update to a company called SciDev, which is science development, I believe. I do like this company, in particular, the field they're in. They're all about the separation of water and solids, which is actually quite important. And I think this area is going to be even of greater importance as we go through the next few decades. This company has seen pretty impressive revenue growth over the last 2 or 3 years, but I do want to see that revenue growth translate to the bottom line. And the company quite hasn't proven that. So I would like some higher margins, that sort of thing. And I also like to see some much better cash flow. So let's get stuck into looking at Cyto. I think this is the first time I've looked at this company in about 12 to 18 months. There are quite few sectors out there that do require, need, or even want the solutions and services that SciDev do produce, including mineral or companies within the mining and mineral processing area, oil and gas companies, infrastructure and construction, water treatment, and PFAS treatment. I won't try to pronounce what PFAS means, but it is manufactured chemicals used in products that resist heat, oil, stains, and water. And a lot of these chemicals are pretty common in everyday household products. Now, when you break down the revenue generated in each of these sectors in financial year 22, by far the biggest sector is oil and gas, with $27.8 million of revenue. Coming in second, well behind oil and gas, is mining and mineral processing with $11.8 million. PFAS treatment at 9.5, water treatment at 6.1, and coming in last place and not a lot of revenue is infrastructure and construction. Not even sure why they include that because only $200,000 of revenue in the last financial year. This company was founded in 2001 and listed on the ASX via another company called Intech, and that company actually listed in May 2002. And then Intech started buying SciDev back in 2013. In fact, they bought 50% of the company back then and bought the remaining 50% of SciDev in February 2017. Current CEO of SciDev is Sean Halpin. And a couple of the biggest shareholders include Perennial Value with 15% of the company and Australian Super with 8.6%. The current valuation of SciDev is about 58 million. That's a share price of roughly about 30 cents. And the T code for the company is SDV. The main motivation for me doing today's video is looking at SciDev's March quarter results for financial year 23. Before we have a look at those results, let's go back 1 year ago just to see how SciDev has progressed over the past year. And I still remember about a year ago, the share price of this company was under pressure just because of general malaise within the market. But also, the company released March quarter results where they were operating cash flow negative by a fair amount, $2.6 million. That's even though they produced $13.7 million of receipts in this one quarter. The reason they were operating cash flow negative with that amount of receipts is because product manufacturing and operating costs were $13.9 million. And if you look at the year to date in financial year 22, they're operating cash flow negative by almost $4 million, even though their receipts of $35.9 million. And because our cash flow or burning through cash flow or cash, that means the cash on hand fell a fair bit. In fact, it fell from 16.4 million to 12.6 million. Now to the March quarter results for financial year 23, and things are looking much better for SciDev now than it was 1 year ago, because not only have receipts really grown, the company is now operating cash flow positive. So receipts up to $20.4 million for the quarter and $69.1 million for the year to date, the first 9 months of the year. And the company is operating cash flow positive, $498,000 for the quarter and $2.8 million for the year to date. The only concern is because the company is still spending a bit of money on capital expenditure, $1.1 million on that. That means the company was actually free cash flow negative in this particular quarter. And because they did repay some debt, $805,000, that means the cash on hand actually did drop during this quarter from $9 million to $7.7 million. But that is enough cash for this company to maintain their business over the next year, 2 years, if they maintain this sort of quarter in the next few quarters. Now, they have a little bit of debt, $1.3 million of debt, and preferably I like companies not to have debt. But that sort of debt is low enough that definitely SciDev will be able to handle that moving forward. So that should not be a problem. And the other thing I don't want to see SciDev do is increase their debt from here. Another thing I want to see from SciDev is a smoothing out of the volatility in revenue or cash receipts from these different sectors. And in this particular slide, they've broken down their revenue or cash receipts from their different sectors. Only three sectors here: mining, construction, energy services, and water treatment. And you can see some big swings, wild swings in the receipts or revenue from one quarter to the next. For instance, energy services receipts went from 4.1 million to 16.3 million to 13 million. Water treatment went from 6.1 million, 2.4 million to 3 million. So receipts and revenue can be quite lumpy for this company. And hopefully over time, they will be able to smooth out that lumpiness. I think it will take them a fair bit of time. And you also see the volatility and the lumpiness in their receipts when we look at the history of receipts. So let's have a look at their history of receipts. And this is the history of the receipts going back to when Intech bought out the rest of the 50% of the company. And you can see from that March quarter 2017 all the way through to the June quarter 2019, receipts weren't doing anything. And then all of a sudden, towards the end of 2019, this company hit a very important inflection point. And that inflection point was just growth in receipts, and a fairly good growth in receipts, in fact, over the past 3 years, where receipts have grown from less than $1 million up to $20.4 million. But you can definitely see the lumpiness here. And on occasion, the receipts have dropped a fair bit from the previous quarter. We saw that in the September quarter 2020, also in two consecutive quarters in September 2021 and December 2021. And in the last quarter, we also saw another drop in the receipts. So this is not a concern because we expect this lumpiness. And just look at the growth in receipts from the December quarter 2021 through to December quarter 2022. It went from 9.8 million to 25.1 million. So without doubt, receipts are on an upwards trajectory, and that's what you want to see. You want to see receipts growing through time, and you want to ignore that lumpiness. And if you do draw a line of best fit here, without doubt, it's going up. Remember how receipts for SciDev started really taking off in the middle of 2019. I think it was the June quarter of that year where we saw receipts get above $1 million. And just look at the market reaction when they saw that bit of news. That was a breakout in SciDev's share price. Not only was it a breakout in the share price of this company, we also saw massive volume coming in during the last half of 2019 into 2020. In fact, the biggest volume for this company was in that 6 to 9 month period from middle of 2019 to around March 2020. And during that period, the share price of this company went from about 6.5 cents all the way to a high of 94 cents just before COVID-19. Now, there was a bit of a blip during COVID-19, but then the share price kept on going. In fact, it went to a high of $1.07 in April 2021. But you'll notice the share price has fallen a fair bit since then. A few reasons behind that. The main reason is because of the general wariness of the market around companies that are not yet profitable, even though SciDev is definitely on its way. So back then, when the share price got to about $1.07, definitely there is an argument this company was overvalued at that point in time, but the trend was there, a really nice uptrend. And you could now argue that this company, with the growth in receipts it is showing and possible reaching that very important inflection point of becoming free cash flow positive on a continuing basis, you could say maybe at a market cap of about $50 million, there is some value for this company. But that question I'll leave up, or the answer to that question I'll leave up to you. I think that possibly there is some value here, but I still want to see signs of increasing margins in this company, and also continual increase in the receipts and revenue, and also the company becoming free cash flow positive on a continual basis. And I want to see cash on hand actually increasing, not decreasing. Now, in saying all that, if we do look at the daily chart over the past, say, 2 years, almost 2 years, the downtrend in the share price has definitely come to an end. In fact, the bottom was in June, July last year, which is about right because that was the bottom of the market. And at that point in time, SciDev share price got as low as about 17.5 cents. There has been some good news over the past year, and that's why on occasion we have seen a share price rally. The main thing I want to see is not only share price moving into an uptrend, I want to see the market more interested in this company. And the way you can determine whether the market is interested in a company is just looking at volume. And to be honest with you, there's not a lot of volume in this company right now. And the best way to get volume, the best way to get the market interested in a company is for that company to become profitable, free cash flow positive, and growing as well. And at this point in time, SciDev has one of those. They are growing. Their revenue is growing. They just need to show the market they are profitable and free cash flow positive. That's all I have for this quarterly update on SciDev. If you have any thoughts, any questions, leave in the comment section of this video. Otherwise, I am not a financial advisor. If you do need financial advice, make sure you seek out someone who is qualified and can speak to your own financial needs. That's it for this video. Have a good day. Bye.